Today you are going to embrace yourself, being one step closer to a woman of valor. You're going to embrace your greatness in being just like our matriarchs, Rivka and Sarah Imenu. In the Midrash, it is written about Rivka. She does him good and not evil. This is Rivka, our matriarch, who did kindnesses to Yitzhak at the time when Sarah, his mother, died. However, Sarah died 3 years before Rivka arrived. What kindnesses did she do when Sarah died? The significance of Sarah's tent, the cloud, are two of the mitzvot that she did, as well as the Shabbos candles, and the fourth one is the tent doors. Now, the cloud was a cloud at the entrance of her tent. No, it wasn't formed by humid conditions. It was the Shekhinah, Hashem's presence, that found an earthly abode near Sarah. Sarah and all the matriarchs were given the gift of prophecy and the Shekhinah. Why? Because of their extraordinary devotion to divine will and their perfection in thought and in character. This indicates that it wasn't easy or natural for them to do the will of Hashem. They faced challenges. Sometimes we may assume that our matriarchs were born perfect and born great. This isn't true. They really worked on themselves to be who they ultimately became. We don't control what happens to us. Whatever happens to us is ultimately the will of Hashem, divine will. So I have to embrace what happens to me no matter what. This takes work, but the more I do it, the more it becomes a part of my character. Practically, this means that it may not be easy for me to take care of my home happily, but I'm going to tap into my gratitude of my blessings and attend happily to the needs of my family. The tent doors. Sarah's tent was wide open. There are two very important reasons why we should have guests. Number one is to be influenced by the good people who visit. Number two is to embrace the opportunity for us to do a mitzvah of loving kindness. Both Sarah and Rivka pursued spirituality in their homes, as well as shared their home by generously taking care of strangers. Practically, this means that the goal of having guests is not to impress them with my greatest cuisine, my exquisite food, and my lavish home, but to grow closer together by embracing our relationship. The blessing of the challah. Challah represents livelihood. Sarah and Rivka brought blessing into the livelihood of their homes by being careful with how they manage their finances. This special care was the blessing that they put into their challah. Practically speaking, this means that I'm going to be mindful in how I spend my money, buying less of what I want versus what I need. The lit candles. The Shabbat candles were constantly lit. Shabbat candles are lit for domestic harmony, as we know from the Talmud. In her home, serenity and harmony reign supreme. Practically speaking, this means that I am committed to react calmly despite my challenging schedule, when the children don't listen, or when I have differences with my husband. Not to ignore your opinions or challenges, but to respond serenely instead. Yitzhak was raised by his mother Sarah Imenu, who was spiritual, generous, industrious, and warm. But when she died, all the characteristics that transformed her tent into a home died with her. Rivka could not help but compare herself to her remarkable mother-in-law. Rivka did the greatest kindness to Yitzhak. She perpetuated Sarah's legacy and reinstituted the practices that made the tent holy. Rivka made her home an extension of Sarah's legacy. We can do it too. We can also create our home as an extension of Sarah's and Rivka's legacy. May we merit to discover the woman of valor that we are by making Hashem's will our will, being committed to improve our character, welcoming and honoring guests and their needs, being cognizant and involved in financial matters of my home, and creating a home enveloped with peace and harmony. Today's learning was from the book Eshet Chayil by Sarah Hochheimer. I would like to bless us all to embrace our greatness as a woman of valor. Leah Abramov, Being and Becoming.